All right, good evening. We are going to open up our May 8th board meeting for Benicia Unified School District. I would like to ask everybody please stand. And can I also have Kim Lewis and Melissa Hardy please go to the podium? I'd like you to lead us in the pledge.
Yes, very good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, so I'm going to call for an approval of the agenda with, thank you.
I'm going to make a motion, we approve the agenda, but I'd like to also swap consent calendar number 11, move that before number 10.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, and we will not have a highlight tonight by our transition kindergarten teachers. Am I correct in understanding that they are going to be coming to us at the next board meeting? So that is on the agenda, and we're going to move them. Also, so next will be reports, and we're going to start with our students.
Hi, I'm Piper Dean from Liberty High School. On Friday, April 20th, a group of LHS students went to the Construction Trades Fair in Fairfield and learned about a variety of construction jobs. Last week, 8 Liberty High School students volunteered at the CAC fashion show. They helped with the setup and cleanup of the event. And next week is our Teacher Appreciation Week. Leadership will be showing gratitude with gifts, helpful tasks, and school-wide shout-outs. LHS completed all of our SBAC testing this morning, and this is a big relief for all the students and staff. The Art Club is making a motorized dragon out of scrap metal for the 4th of July parade, and it should be completed by the end of this month. On May 17th, our outdoor education class will be taking a field trip to Point Pinole with trips for kids from Marin Mountain Biking. May 18th will be Liberty High School's field day to celebrate the 4th quarter. We will have games, food, and music. On May 24th, the Art Club will be taking a field trip to the Art of Peace exhibit in Vallejo. On May 31st, we'll be having our senior luncheon and giving out yearbooks for seniors. Graduation will be June 7th at 6 p.m. at the Yacht Club. All caps and gowns were paid for by the Rotary Club. Thanks as always for their support.
Thank you.
My name is Christian Chavez. I am the ASB Vice President at Benicia High School, and I'm going to be talking about some past events that we've held. So this week was the beginning of our Staff Appreciation Week, and that continues until this Friday. So be sure to support all your local BUSD staff members. And so our boys tennis, girls badminton, and boys swimming all won SCAC League championships, and boys tennis and badminton went 15-0, so they went undefeated this season. So it was really big wins for our Panthers this year, and we're wishing the best for all of our teams heading into playoffs. And then prom was last Saturday, and everyone seemed to have tons of fun and had a great time. And then this past Monday was our senior breakfast, and everyone seemed to be in really good spirits, and it was accompanied with really good food, and caps and gowns were handed out to all the seniors.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Alex Torres, and I'm the ASB president of Benicia High School, and I'll be talking about some upcoming events. So the boys tennis has their first playoff match tomorrow at Benicia High School against Migra Loma tomorrow. And Christian's actually on the tennis team, so let's all wish him luck. And then it's that time again. We have A/B testing starting next week. And then we have our spring musical, Legally Blonde, opening next Friday, May 11th, so be sure to get there. Then we have our senior X Games, which is a new tradition that the leadership is bringing this year. And the X Games are going to have like dodgeball, tug-of-war, kickball, three-legged races, capture the flag, and stuff like that. So all the seniors will split into teams and basically whoever gets first place wins. And then the next day, Saturday, is our first annual color run, which is May 19th. And I'd like to invite all of you guys there. It is open to the whole entire community. And I see a lot of administrators out here from each school. So Matthew Turner, Robert Simple, Benicia High School, you know. Just if you guys could maybe make an announcement and tell your students, we're trying to get as many people as we can and stuff like that. Thank you.
For the color run?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So it is $15 per person, and the price will go up to $20 after the 5th.
What does the money benefit?
So it goes towards the activities that we do at Benicia High School, such as food during lunch in the quad. We give out like our multicultural celebration. We bought food and different types from each culture, and we gave them out. We buy stuff to have games during lunch, stuff like that.
I want to say a big thank you and a recognition not to all of our teams in Benicia. They have been pretty amazing. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but I've been trying to push out. Even middle school teams have been doing really well and winning lots of accolades. So between middle school and high school Panthers, wow, you guys have been awesome. And then there's also, let's not forget our band, because our middle school band, our high school band have also been just stellar. I mean, their performances have been pretty incredible and bringing back lots of awards for Benicia. So I think that just goes to the caliber of students in our district. So again, thank you all. Okay, next up, Dr. Young.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. I have some longer comments to make when we introduce some new team members to Benicia. But I'd like to make a quick comment that I was at the senior breakfast, and we had an opportunity to feed everyone, and it was wonderful and incredibly positive. And I heard lots of comments about the prom being one of the best ones that we've ever had. So I just want to congratulate the kids for a wonderful evening. That was a great event. And then another one, and we'll come back to this later, but every year we go through the process where we acknowledge our teacher of the year, and we acknowledge our classified person of the year, and they get to go to this beautiful event, and they have this video that they put together, and we'll bring those back. But I did want to say that, again, just to reiterate that the teacher of the year for the Benicia Unified School District was Melissa Harley. Congratulations. And the classified person of the year is Heather Cullum, and she's not with us this evening. And again, the county office puts together a beautiful video. We'll bring those back at a proceeding board meeting. But it was a great event. It was incredibly inspirational to sit there and watch this video with Melissa and Heather and all these other very talented educators and classified staff in surrounding districts. It was a very inspirational event. But we'll come back and we'll spend some more time celebrating you.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to our consent count.
Board reports?
Oh, board reports. I skipped right over us. Sorry.
That's all right.
Jerry must have a report.
I'll go ahead and start, but Charles already took my employees of the year, but it was an honor to be able to go up there Tuesday night to the county office and celebrate with you and Heather. And it was a good time and a good night, and thank you for the excellent work that you do, and the same thing with Heather. So, prom, I was chaperone there, and I think it's my 10th or 11th year chaperoning, and it was just an honor to be with our students this year. No issues, real respectful. The management of the venue told me at the end of the night, they're going, that was the best group of kids that we have ever had.
Yay.
And to hear that from them, who has kids in there all the time, they had 1,700 kids the week before. So to hear them to say that was the best group of students they've ever had, and how respectful you were, and said thank you and yes ma'am and yes sir, and so I'll just pass that on to the students there. The other event I went to, was a fundraiser for our youth center, our teen center. And I know school-wise it's not part of our district, but they do support our students. And it was a night of the 70s, and it was a outstanding event. Many people in town heard the music, the live band. But it was, and they was able to raise quite a bit of money for the teen center. Their new location is $2,500 a month plus utilities, and all that money comes in from donations. So it was nice to be able to attend that and continue seeing the great things that they're doing with our youth. So any given day, there's 30 to 50 of our middle school and high school kids there in the afternoon. So I was able to attend that.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan, no? Ms. Bonet, no? Okay, well, the only thing I was going to share, because I spent my afternoon responding to 6th grade student emails. I had quite a cadre of those coming up. It actually was really kind of fun. Our 6th grade science teachers, and I believe it's all the 6th grade science teachers, right? So I was counting up 346 students, and I was going, am I going to get 346 emails? One never knows. But they were all coming forward and sharing what their project was in order to enhance the environment, to take care of the habitats for various types of animals. So just so you know, Mr. Scott and Dr. Young, I did refer them all back to you because I felt permission to put their project on the campus will belong to the superintendent and their principal, who best knew the campus. But it was actually, it's been a lot of fun reading them, and I've been trying to take the time this afternoon to make sure I responded to each student who now has our emails, which I thought was great. So, but you know, kudos to your 6th grade team. I thought it was excellent. I loved the project, and I know we were all getting them and kind of chiming in a little bit, but it was fun to see the emails, having them explain their purpose and their intent and their energy. So good for them. So thank you for that. Okay, with that said, now we're going to move on to the
one more thing.
Absolutely.
Something. I also thought it was great they emailed us. Like, I don't know whose idea. I'm assuming was it the teachers, but I thought it
was the 3 sides.
I thought it was great. I mean, because they're hearing their ideas was really sweet and nice and inspiring in of themselves. But them taking sort of that the extra effort and also reaching out to people that are part of their system. And I thought it was I really liked that part of the.
Just a quick comment
Of
on
their
that too.
project.
I had an opportunity to respond to most of them. I'm still doing it, but some of the projects were great. Like these groups want to take care of crows, because crows are like this much maligned bird. So they want to have like crow habitat, and other people, they want to take care of squirrels.
And all the earthworms.
And the earthworms. Oh, they're great projects.
And the squirrels.
What's that?
Squirrels.
And the squirrels, they have squirrel habitat, so that's good. Project-based learning is good stuff.
Project-based learning. It was awesome. At its best. That was really fun to see. Okay, now the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be approved by the board in one motion. There'll be no discussion on these items unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be pulled and discussed.
I move that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Thank you. Okay, Dr. Young.
Very good, thank you. So this is something that it's a great honor to do, to be able to welcome new employees into the school district, classified and teachers and administrators. And it's a great honor for me this evening to recognize 4 new administrators that will be joining us. And we've gone through this very rigorous process of screening and interviewing and selecting 4 very special people that we're honored to have join the team. So I'll have a profile that I would like to read on each of them, and appreciate everybody's patience and listening as we welcome our new folks, teammates. So if we'll start with Vanessa Fortney. If she could come forward. Welcome, hello. So this is Vanessa Fortney that will be the new vice principal at Benicia Middle School, and a little bit about Vanessa. So Vanessa Fortney is excited to join us as a vice principal of Benicia Middle School next year. She received her Bachelor's of Arts in Spanish and International Studies and teaching credential from St. Mary's College in Moraga. She received her master's in administrative credentials at the University of California, Berkeley in the Principal Leadership Program. Vanessa is eager to inspire, engage, and encourage staff and students to be the best they can be. Vanessa has worked in the Solano County for almost 10 years in various capacities. She began her work advocating for foster and homeless youth with the Solano County Office of Ed. She then became a classroom teacher in court and community schools, where she taught multiple subjects in small classroom setting. She most recently was the administrator of the Law Academy at Jesse Bethel High School, where she and a collaborative team connected students with the law and justice pathway, integrating project-based learning, Common Core instruction, and trauma-informed care practices. Is this all sounding pretty accurate? Yep. You're kind of wondering, is that me? In addition to supporting students, Vanessa has also spent the last few years providing professional development and coaching for teachers, school staff, and parents on PBIS, a program that we're heavily invested in, restorative justice, and integration of technology. As a bilingual administrator, Vanessa values connecting with the community, setting high expectations for staff and students, and creating programs that support all students. In her free time, Vanessa is a busy mom to 4 amazing children, ages 4 to 14, and can usually be found at the softball fields since all 4 children are in sports. Just don't have them join like swimming, because entire weekends are. She also enjoys spending time at the beach or gardening for fun. She is very excited to meet each of your children and get to know the Benicia community and contribute to the great work of the districts. We'd like to give you a very warm welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you. That was a pretty long bio, so thanks for bearing with me. I'm really excited to join the Benicia community. My daughters are actually at practice at Mary Farmer right now as we speak, so I only have 2 with me this evening, but I'm really looking forward to joining the team and being part of the community. So thank you for the warm welcome.
Thank you, Melissa. Welcome.
And if everybody can wait around, we'll get through all 4 of the new team members, and we'll come up here and take a picture. Okay, so the next individual teammate we'd like to welcome is Yadira Zapata. Welcome, Yadira. Yadira will be the new vice principal at Benicia High School. A little bit about Yadira. She received her Bachelor of Arts in Spanish Literature with a minor in Latin American Studies from UC Davis, where she taught Spanish in after-school programs. Yadira then went on to earn her master's degree in teaching from St. Mary's College of California, where she also received her single subject credential. Yadira is also credentialed as career and technical education, child development, and family services. Yadira worked as a Spanish teacher at Pittsburgh High School for 3 years, as well as serving as a student activities director and link crew coordinator. Yadira then moved to Alhambra High School, where she has served as a Spanish and CTE-RLP teacher, WASC focus group leader, Ms. Kleinsmith, WASC, there you go. Served as a Site Council member and English Learner Advisory Committee teacher liaison over the past 4 years. Yadira is also currently filling in as an assistant principal 1 day a week and has been a WASC visiting committee member. In her various roles, Yadira has worked to strengthen collaboration among students, staff, the community, and families. Through her work as the instructor of ROP CTE careers and teaching, she has supported students and fostered their growth in becoming effective young teachers. She is an advocate for equitable education and has experience with integration of technology into instruction. Yadira's work ethic and experience make her a great addition to the leadership team at Benicia High School. Welcome.
Thank you so much for this warm welcome. It's really funny, as we were reading Vanessa's bio, I said, that's my bio. I did Spanish and I went to St. Mary's. So, I think there's a little bit of a thing you're looking for. But thank you so much. I'm so excited to also join Benicia. It's such a welcoming and amazing community, and I'm very much looking forward to the work that I can do with you. Okay, thank you.
Our next new teammate that we'd like to welcome to have her come forward is Kimberly Lewis. So Kimberly will be the new principal at Liberty High School, and Kimberly was born and raised in Benicia, with strong ties spanning many generations. And when we had an opportunity to meet one another, she told me about her strong connections to the Portuguese community in town, who I think there's a big Catholic contingent. So I heard you say when we asked if you would lead us in the pledge, it was either you or Melissa. It's Our Father. So in 1997, Kimberly graduated from Sonoma State, where she received both her bachelor's and teaching credential. She was hired by the Vallejo Unified School District. Through her 15 years teaching at Solano Middle School, she taught all grade levels of history and 6th grade English. During that time, Kimberly worked at her site and at the district and county levels, mentoring teachers and launching programs that promote 21st century skills. In 2009, Kimberly received her administrative credential and master's in ed leadership at Cal State East Bay. For the first 4 years, she has served as vice principal at Solano Middle School, last 4 years. She worked closely with her students, staff, and families to create a positive climate and culture where staff, students, and the parent community all feel they are valued and they belong. Kimberly is committed to working diligently towards ensuring that all students are provided the highest quality education possible in a safe and supportive learning environment. Kimberly looks forward to working together as a team with our staff and parents and is committed to helping each student achieve his or her very best. So we'd like to welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. I'm coming home, so it's very nice to be a part and give back to the community that my family's been a part of for almost actually over 100 years. So it warms my heart. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Welcome. And the last person that we would like to welcome to our team, she's actually been a teammate with us for the last 12 years, I believe, Melissa Harley. Come on up. So Melissa will be the new principal at Farmer Elementary School. And a little bit of information about Melissa. As a longtime member of the Benicia community, in 2000, when her children started school at Mills Elementary, she became a parent volunteer. Inspired by the staff at Mills, she earned her teaching credential while serving as a school librarian. Melissa joined the Mary Farmer team in 2005 as a resource teacher and then as a classroom teacher. Melissa has served the Benicia Unified School District in many roles, including tech mentor, grade level lead, coordinator of the family literacy classes at Farmer and Simple Elementary, and the extended school year principal. Melissa earned her BA in history from UC Berkeley in 1995. She received her multiple subject credential from the Dominican University in 2004. As part of the first Benicia cohort, she earned her master's degree in education from Thoreau University in 2010. And as if that weren't enough, Melissa completed her administrative credential program at the University of Southern California just in 2017. Congratulations. Until recently, this is one thing I think is very cool. Until recently, Melissa sang backup in a touring tribute band on weekends and in school breaks. Now she enjoys cycling with her husband, who I believe is here this evening, Rich, and growing roses in her garden. Melissa is excited to help Mary Farmer Elementary flourish in a new role as its principal. She looks forward to growing alongside the gifted staff, dedicated families, and remarkable students at Mary Farmer. So welcome, Melissa.
Thank you. I want to say thank you for this opportunity to serve as the principal at Mary Farmer. It's a community I love, and I'm so excited to be able to serve there. And I want you to know that I'm really committed to growing and building our relationships together so we can serve our students well, all of us. And to my Mary Farmer family, some of you are here. I'm super delighted to help you and open to support you in serving your family. I'm here. I'm open to that, please. And also my amazing Mary Farmer colleagues. I'm just super excited and committed to cultivating and continuing our collaborative and professional relationships. You're a really remarkable collection of people. And to our students who aren't here, but they're here, that I will commit to always remembering that they are the reason
that we're here. Like, they are the purpose of our work, and I will always be their very loud advocate and the work we get to do together. So thank you. I'm really delighted. Thank you.
So why don't we have all four of you come up here, and then we'll have the trustees stand up here. We'll get a photograph. Do you want to take it? Sure. All right.
I'll take one.
Okay.
Let's both do it.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for welcoming our new members to Benicia Unified in such a warm way. I really appreciate that. Okay, so now we're going to move to comments from members of the public. Members of the public may address the board on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Cards which may be completed requesting to address the board are available at the back table and may be submitted to the board secretary at the meeting. The governing board allows speakers to speak on agendized and non-agendized matters under public comment. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of a governing board. And with that said, we have our first speaker from Matthew Turner. Brenda, is it Strassner? I'm sorry? Okay. I had it. I just wanted to make sure. Well, your names are important.
Good evening. I am the Matthew Turner site rep for BTA, and I am unfortunately here to share news with you of things that we will no longer be doing, that due to contracted labor negotiations and lack of a fair contract offer, we are no longer doing things outside of our contract work day. To be specific, we will not have attendance at the PTA auction. We will not have teacher attendance at World Culture Night. This is very hard to read, very emotional. No meetings with parents before or after work hours. That's hard. I meet with a lot of my parents before and after work hours because that's when they can be there. No reading emails and responding after contract hours. No math night, no musical, no walking Wednesdays for teacher participation, no fall social on the weekend with an ice cream celebration. All of the things we love, but we feel that we can no longer do without a fair contract outside of our hours. No attendance at any school events outside hours. No more volunteering for additional committee time outside of our extra work 9-hour commitment. No picnic in the park, no talent show, no creating PBS videos to show our kids what teachers shouldn't do, so the kids can show us what they should do. I think I've covered it all. No grading of many assignments and essays and inputting of data into data systems, which has occurred after work hours, will not be occurring after work hours. And I guess the last thing I want to say is that, And we received an email today from the board, and it mentioned that the buck stops with the board. And so what I'd like to say to the board is that I have not had another time where I feel teachers come to me, myself included, feeling so demoralized, so unimportant, so uncared for, so not a part of a discussion, let alone part of a solution. And so I really hope the board can, be the final comment, can have that discussion, because you're right, the buck does stop with you, and we really need you to start talking to us. That's it.
The next speaker is Christine Mitchell from Benicia Middle School, and after her is Kate Bonet.
Christine Mitchell, speaking on behalf of Benicia Middle School. I don't think you listened to our statement the last time we were together. At that time, you clearly dismissed the voices and the presence of 203 professional teachers, as well as the amazing, supportive Benicia students and parents when you delivered your prepared response without regard of our spoken words. Your statement provided proof that our vote of no confidence and our priorities, not accusations, our priorities are valid. Your words were written before you bothered to listen and to hear the powerful and passionate voices that carry out the important work of this district every single day. So I'm here tonight to share with you the items that will no longer continue for free at Benicia Middle School until we have a fair and thoughtful contract. BMS teachers will no longer substitute during their prep time. BMS teachers will no longer open their classrooms, which we consider safe havens, or supervise students before school, during our duty-free lunch, or after school. BMS teachers will not hold any after-school help clubs. Student support will come from prearranged, stipend, paid programs only. BMS teachers will not be opening their classrooms on Sunday for the 5th grade orientation, when 5 days later our classrooms will be open for our contracted open house. Advanced art classes will not be attending any enrichment field trips or participating in Benicia Sculpture Tour. Our current Where Everyone Belongs web coordinators, who have already put in thousands of unpaid hours over the last 10 years, will no longer give their free time to coordinate or supervise this program for our 8th graders or incoming 6th graders. BMS teachers will not be participating in any future community art shows. Benicia teachers will not be participating in or volunteering for the upcoming 8th grade promotion ceremony. The promotion ceremony without staff input has been moved from the middle school to the high school and occurs during our common planning time. We will not be attending. BMS teachers will no longer host student clubs at lunch or after school, such as Girls Who Code, Cupcake Club, Chess Club, Cartooning Club, Math Club, Drama Club, Cosmetology Club, and the first LEGO League of Robotics. BMS teachers will not be planning lessons or correcting essays, unit exams, projects, or papers of any kind at home in the evenings or over the weekend. BMS teachers will no longer attend committee meetings that are not contractually mandatory or over and above the 9 hours of our contracted extra duty hours. BMS teachers will no longer answer phone calls or emails outside of contracted hours. BMS teachers will no longer provide access to resources and material that were purchased using personal time, travel, and money, such as earbuds, school supplies, art supplies, cleaning materials, or reading materials. Finally, BMS teachers will no longer prepare IEP-related assessment reports, update progress to goals, or hold IEPs, SSTs, or 504 meetings outside our contracted hours until we have a fair and thoughtful contract.
Okay, next up is Kate Bonet, and then Kelsey Warts.
Hi, my name is Kate Bonet. I'm the site rep for Mary Farmer, and I am piggybacking on all of their statements. I have my own, and I have to read it or else I'll cry. So, no attending committee meetings unless they are part of our extra duty hour obligations. We go way above our hours. No research and development of teaching practices, lesson plans, etc. on our own time. No grading on weekends or outside our contractual hours. Our backpacks will stay at school. No parent communication before or after school, and I wanted to apologize to Sean Thompson. I did not get back to his class dojo that he sent me at 8 o'clock last night about our field trip. No STEAM night, no ice cream social, no spaghetti feed or projects for the auction. No attendance at the PTA auction, which we at Mary Farmer love. The auction projects that require extra time, and our after-school auction projects that we sign up for, and the kids get to come hang with us. No planning and prep for field trips for us, Coloma. All very important trips. 5th grade promotion has already been changed to contractual time, not an evening performance, and that breaks my heart. I won't get to see my kids go. Their graduation to contracted time. No meeting with parents outside the contractual hours for parent-teacher conferences. We need our parents in our kids' lives. No summer setup beyond our contractual hours. We are elementary teachers. We like our classrooms done nice. No end of the year takedown. Oh boy. No talent show, no BEF run, no teacher provided supplies that are purchased by our teachers. That's a lot. No elementary track meet. That's our list in short. Thank you.
Kelsey Lors, then Lee Wilson, and Christian Whitty.
Do you ever fear a car not seeing you while you're walking in a crosswalk? Hello, members of the school board. My name is Kelsey Lors. The topic I'm addressing is flashing crosswalk signs. The purpose of my speech is to describe why we need flashing crosswalk signs in front of Benicia High School. So many students have almost been hit before and after school by cars who don't see them. Many cars are worried about trying to get their kids and trying to find a way out of the traffic. We can solve this issue by making the students and parents feel more safe by adding flashing crosswalks to all 3 of the crosswalks, especially the 2 without the signals. More vehicles will be able to see a walker in the crosswalk with the flashing. Thank you for your attention on this issue.
Real quick, I'd like to say we will have staff bring that up to Safe Routes to Schools and the city, because that's stuff they take care of, but we could recommend and send that to them. So we'll, if we could follow up on that. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Leah Wilson. My son is in the 2nd grade at Robert Semple, and I also work as a yard duty there. Years ago, I was a history teacher at BMS and decided then that when my husband and I had a family, we would move to Benicia for the schools. The most important thing to me when it comes to the budget or any decision made by the district, my number 1 priority, is the education and safety of our children. We all know that the single most important person in the education system to our kids is their teacher. Teachers have the biggest direct impact on the education and safety of our kids. The people who work closest with our kids, the teacher and staff at our school sites, need to be prioritized in the budget. If there is money, it needs to go to the teachers and staff who work most closely with our kids. We cannot attract and retain quality teachers who will provide, in your words, a high-quality educational program to our kids if they're not offered a fair and decent salary and benefits package. In the last paragraph of today's letter, you asked for our patience as you move forward with fact-finding. But with all due respect, half of that letter was a presentation of your case, explaining the process thus far from your perspective, and stating facts, some of which I found to be disingenuous and potentially misleading. However, I will be patient as you asked as we wait for the fact-finding report. I understand that all of this, negotiations, balancing the budget, etc., it cannot be easy and there are difficult decisions to be made. I do look forward to finding out what money the district has and exactly how it is prioritized. I know that I will be paying attention to this report and so many parents will. In the meantime, I want you to know that I find it very concerning that 90% of teachers signed a letter which stated that they do not feel heard, respected, or supported by the district leadership, that they feel devalued. I know many of these teachers. There are some truly wonderful teachers in Benicia, incredibly hardworking and dedicated, people who go above and beyond every day. They are professionals who deserve to be treated with respect, supported in their already difficult jobs, and valued and listened to because they are the people on the front line of our education system. You stated in today's letter, the buck stops with you. Please ask yourselves, why don't they feel heard or respected? What are you doing to contribute to this demoralized feeling that an overwhelming majority of our teachers share? In your response to the letter from BTA and again in your letter today, I heard you strongly emphasize your confidence in Dr. Young and the management team. I'd like to finish my remarks by emphasizing my confidence in our teachers. I stand with them, I strongly support them, and I urge you to prioritize our teachers and settle with them fairly.
Mr. Whitty, and then Liam Madigan.
Good evening. A little tall there. My name is Christian Whitty. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Joe Henderson Elementary. I've been with the district for 10, I think it's my 11th year. This list was, well, first, it is hard. It is hard to read this list. We do care, and we work really hard. My colleagues at my site, my colleagues all over the district, and to come up with this list as a group, not just my own, as a group. These are the things that will be affected as we work our contracted hours until a contract is settled, a fair contract is settled. This would be attendance at, and actually the preparation for family bingo night, a family Halloween dance, attendance at a DARE graduation outside contract hours, cancellation of outdoor education for our fifth graders and our fourth graders, correcting homework and giving meaningful feedback outside contract hours, shopping for craft materials, making our materials engaging and interesting for our students outside contract hours, beginning of the year setup during the summer, end of the year reading celebrations that fall after contract hours, parent communications, emails after contract hours, daily prep for the next school day after contract hours or before contract hours, parent preferred IEPs or SSTs that would fall before or after our contract hours, teacher attendance at our wonderful, wonderful events like Art Night, our auction, our country fair, working on report cards on weekends and in the evening, prepping our rooms for summer school, which will be held at our site this year outside of contract hours. This list was created by our teachers at Joe Henderson, and along with my colleagues around the district, we work really hard. And we're proud of what we do, but we feel we deserve a fair and negotiable contract, and these things will be affected until that is settled. Thank you.
Okay, Liam, and then Michelle Benty Chapman and Adam Brown.
Hi, my name is Liam Madigan. 2 weeks ago, I stood before you, and on behalf of the city of Benicia, I pleaded with you to pay our teachers more. And in response to a myriad of cries like mine, you sent out a letter. Now, I'd just like to review this letter a bit. To start, the letter talked of supposed accusations against Dr. Young. And with all due respect, these were not accusations. These were anecdotes, citations of what happened where we could have saved money and where teachers and employees were repeatedly ignored. There's nothing personal in these attacks. These are not even attacks, they're just facts. And facts of what happened, and to reduce actual occurrences to mere accusations is a dangerous mentality, one that is the reason why these pay negotiations are so difficult in the first place. Now, I don't know enough about the actual numbers to speak directly on how much it would actually cost to pay these teachers what they deserve and what they ask for. However, I can say this much. Even assuming that the numbers are correct, I would have to say that the mentality, or your mentality going to this, is not. You're trying to fit our education around the money instead of trying to make the money fit the education. Because my education, my future, and these wonderful teachers' livelihoods have no price tag. Ultimately, I'm aware that no decision can be made right this second. However, I urge all of you to enter these negotiations with the mentality of ultimately paying these teachers what they deserve and what they ask for. In just 2 years, we've had students go to Yale, Stanford, Cornell, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and so many more amazing schools. None of this could have been possible without the teachers to help them achieve their dreams. But when a generation of people like myself are raised under the shadow of overworked, underpaid teachers, will we go into that field? Will we dare to work as hard and as well as our mentors when we see how little they're appreciated? So I urge you, think not of the money, think not of the present. Think of our education, think of our futures, and most importantly, think of our teachers. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle, Adam Brown, and then Christina Taft-Bowman.
I'm probably loud enough anyways. Hello, my name's Michelle Benke Chapman. I am the site rep from Robert Semple, and like everyone else, with a very heavy heart, the following list is of services that the current Robert Semple teachers have historically provided free of charge and will no longer do until we have a fair contract. Even though we love our children, our students, our community at Robert Semple dearly, like our very own. This is gut-wrenching for all of my colleagues. And this will affect all our students, including my own son who attends Robert Semple. We will not attend the PTA auction, our wonderful multicultural night that we have every January, a lip sync battle that we do as colleagues and raise money for outdoor education. No meetings with parents before or after work hours, which is very difficult for some of our families who work long, long hours and may even have 2 jobs, especially at our school. No attendance at family math night or family reading night. No helping with the talent show. No parent-teacher conferences before or after work hours. No night performances. No attendance at back-to-school barbecue. No Girls on the Run program, which was wonderful this year. No attendance at the before-school books and bagels, which majority of our students attend. No setting up or closing down classrooms outside of contractual work days. No whole school book club night. No movie nights. No participation or donations at Harvest Festival that require time. No assisting with outside lunch, dance parties, or helping kids settle served during our lunch hour. No PBIS videos. No volunteering for the bike rodeo or grading on weekends or outside of contractual hours, which most of us have to do in order to get any of that work done. Thank you.
Adam Brown and Christina Bowman. Is Adam? Oh, okay. Thank you.
His comments are similar to mine, though, even though I obviously can't speak for him. So greetings, board members. My name is Christina Taft-Bowman. Just really quickly, I've been in education for 24 years as an administrator and a teacher. I'm currently a Mary Farmer parent. I'm also a school site council member at Mary Farmer. I have some concerns about communications, process, and parental input with the Benicia Unified School District Cabinet. And I also have concerns with teacher pay and retention. And I also feel incredibly unheard, unrespected, and unvalued, which as a parent is honestly frightening. First thing I need to address, and actually I'm going to jump to the raises for teachers. My husband's a teacher. I was a teacher for 14 years. My daughter is in Mrs. Beckwith's class, which is the best thing that's ever happened to her. And you know what? I know Miss Beckwith is not going to leave, but I don't want the young Miss Beckwiths to leave and go to San Ramon. And that's what's going to happen, because I work in the school system, and I know that those young teachers out there can write a ticket to any job they want, any job. Because I work in West Contra Costa Unified School District as a coordinator of early literacy, and we are constantly looking for teachers. We just gave our teachers a 5% raise this year. San Francisco just gave them a 14% raise. We're looking at a 9% raise. And I know that our demographics are different and maybe our money is different, but you know what? There are a lot of school districts around here that are giving teachers raises. Look at Arizona. I don't want to move to Arizona. I want to stay in Benicia. And I would love great teachers in Benicia. Everybody else, what everything said, good, work to rule. Even though my child will be affected, I support you. Now, back to the real reason I'm here. I have concerns about the Mary Farmer Principal Input Panel. I've sent a detailed email to the board members. There was a process outlined at a parent meeting in March where we were told that we were going to have some input. This process was not followed. Jane West emailed me and asked me to be on the panel of the Mary Farmer Input Panel. Then 6 hours later, she emailed me and said, oh, we decided to ask someone else. I want to know why. Why was a parent who was never even at the input meeting, who was never even putting her name forward, suddenly asked? Apparently, according to the cabinet, it was because she had long-term affiliations on the school site council. She's been on the school site council for 2 years. I've been on it for 1 year. I don't think that's a long-term affiliation. Obviously, there's something else going on. And clearly, parents who have an opinion or experience are not welcome. Why would they want somebody who actually might have some input? They just want parents who are looking for passive rubber stamping. Emails. Okay, emails. It takes several days to get responses. The responses are vague. When I ask for in-person meetings.
Your time is up, Mrs. Bowman.
Well,
Your
you can read
3
my
minutes up.
email, yeah, but I'm just going to say, you know what? Dr. Young is not doing his job, and if you, the school board,
Thank you.
support him,
Thank you very
you're not
much.
either.
Adam Brown, is he not in the room?
No, she just said he would.
Okay. Are there any other comments from? No, we don't have any other comments. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the comments this evening, and we absolutely do take them to heart, so thank you very much. We are going on to the discussion items tonight. We're moving on to Measure S, the quarterly bond update. Mr. Rahill?
Yes. Good evening. In your packet tonight, we just had our quarterly meeting with the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. This is the committee that is required for our school district facility bond fund that was Measure S passed several years ago. It is made up of 7 members, and in your packet includes the agenda and all of the attachments that we discussed at that meeting. Some of the highlights, there is a completed bond projects to date list as well as approved bond projects in progress. So I won't take the time to read through that, but that is included in your packet. We're currently, I'll highlight that we are currently working with our architect on the modernization of the Benicia Middle School campus, as well as starting the process on the fire alarm replacements for many of our schools. And we should be hearing back from the state in regards to some additional funding for the Benicia High School theater through Career Tech Education. We filed for some additional funding, possibly up to $3 million. We're not sure if we'll get, it could be anything in a range from nothing up to the $3 million. We hope to hear by the end of June.
That's a quick question. Where are those monies specific in terms of how they have to be spent?
That money, yes, that money would be spent at Benicia High School. It will be in and around the Performing Arts Building and related to the Career Tech Education Program for dance.
Now, that's the grant request that Ms. Kleinschmidt actually wrote, right, or submitted?
Yes.
To get this, so that it is very targeted money. Can you also clarify, I've gotten several questions understanding the role of the Oversight Committee.
Yes.
Can you reiterate that for us
Yeah.
again one more time, just so everybody knows?
Yeah, the role of the oversight committee is primarily just to make sure that the district is spending money in accordance with the bond project list.
I've got a couple emails. So when we went out for the bond, we actually had $150 million in needs. And that was through research with the facility committee. It was done by a facility report. And we took $49.5 million, which are most urgent needs for that, out of that $150 million that we had. So we're not changing any of our projects that we've stated in the 49.5. We're just rearranging some of them with the extra money that we haven't used yet. It's not extra money, it's just money we haven't used yet.
So just a couple, you're generally right. When we went out to the bond, things were starting to fail in the district. And so we did a facility assessment, which actually came in right around $50 million. We knew there was more needs, but we didn't want to wait and do a full facility master plan, which did come after the facility assessment. And so when we did the full facility master plan, it was right around $150 million. So we used the guide of the assessment to get things going so we could reach out to the community. They passed Measure S at $49.6 million. And so since then, we use the facility master plan to guide us through different priority projects. And so that's we're working on priority 1 and some into priority 2. So we have that flexibility. And then certain things as you go along and you have opportunities to apply for additional funds, like with the Benicia High School Career Tech Education Performing Arts Building Funds. That is an opportunity that didn't exist back then. It was on the list, and so the ability to match funds, because it's just not a free and clear $3 million, we would have to match that with up to $3 million, was an opportunity for us to make our dollars go further. So in this case, if we were to be awarded that, that would be an additional $3 million that comes into our district for facilities. So at this point in time, we've earned some interest on those funds. So it's about $50 million in facility projects for our school, and we have spent at this point in time just under half of that, about $22.4 million, and we have the rest going towards the Benicia Middle School modernization. We're wrapping up the high school stadium. A big one left are upgrading all of our fire alarm systems at the rest of the schools. The Benicia Middle School is done. The high school is, I believe it just got certified as complete. But our fire alarm systems are in need of an upgrade. And so that, along with the theater, we're getting started on the modernization at the Mary Farmer School and some other miscellaneous projects.
What about the middle school?
The middle school, yeah, that's probably that is our biggest one in motion right now.
Do you have a specific item list for the modernization projects?
Yeah,
in terms of plans, it's coming. You probably already gave it to us.
It's in the packet, and it is detailed, line item detailed for every project, for every expense since day one. The print is quite small, but it is in the packet, and if you click on it, you can read. Yeah.
I hadn't dug through them, but for future expenditures, I'm curious about the plans for the remaining money.
Yeah, the plans for the remaining money for the projects that I listed, at this point in time, there is about $2.6 million that we are, right now we're proceeding with the projects as is, which includes what we talked about last time. We do have about $150,000 to $200,000 set aside for some security upgrades. So we did make that change. And we have decided to, right now, the $2.6 million will be discussed with the district's facility committee, and we can bring that back to the board for consideration. There's a couple unknowns at this point. We don't know if we're going to get the state grant for the high school theater project. So we'll know by the end of June whether or not that money will be committed or not. So if it is committed to the theater, then that moves forward. If it's not, we kind of bring it back to the committee and say maybe we use that funding for another project. But there will be at least some that goes to the performing arts building at the theater.
And is it just, I'm asking this for the public as well as myself, but because I've gotten some questions. So is this sort of in some ways a working process still in terms of how we're prioritizing? I mean, I know that things are tiered in terms of what, how we decided from a facility master plan perspective. But I'm also curious about, how much movement or shift there might be around our plans.
Mm-hmm. I would say for the most part, once we would, if we look at the facility master plan and there's 4 different priorities, through this Measure S funding, we would get through most of priority 1. And we are starting to do some of the in priority 2. And so as we continue to meet with the facilities and prioritize, it would be looking in that priority 2. And every school site has items in priority 2. And there's a kind of a catch-all called school modernization, which means something different for each school.
Right,
and so,
I was just hoping, but it sounds like your specifics are in the numbers.
So in addition, just as a reminder, in addition to the state grant we've applied to for the high school performing arts building, we've also applied to the state for additional state bond money. We're not sure if we'll hear from them within the next several months, but that's a long process to get state bond money for facilities. Then we're also considering possibly applying for some seismic retrofit funds for our schools that might need some of that. So that would be on top of that. And then lastly, there is another source of money through the state for imminent need. And so we are considering and determining whether or not we could apply for the imminent need funding for our fire alarm systems.
Fire alarm systems are very...
They're very expensive
And
and they're very imminent. So it's just a matter if when we submit our when we submit our application, whether the state approves that it does qualify for imminent.
Well, and also if I recall at our last committee meeting, we also talked about really looking at the sites under the topic of safety. Because that's what we were discussing when we were looking at each of the elementary schools, like what needs to be the priority with regards to making sure our campuses are safe. And that was a conversation that came up, I think it was the last meeting. So we haven't gone forward and we haven't talked about it anymore. And part of it was going to be having some Outpipe people walk our campuses as well. So we're kind of on hold with that until the fall.
Correct.
Is what I understand. All right, so next up is our strategic plan for 18-19 and our local control accountability plan highlights. So that would be the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Beekman.
Good evening and thank you. I'm really excited to bring to you, this is still in draft form, but the highlights from our proposed 2018-19 strategic plan LCAP. So tonight's presentation I'm going to, let's see. So we have a few things I want to do. We will have a formal public hearing later this month before an adoption in June, but I wanted to give you kind of the current thinking around this and get any input that you might have. So tonight, I just want to remind everybody about what the strategic plan process is, how we do stakeholder input and engagement, and the highlights in this proposed draft. As always, we frame our work in the district's vision and organizational beliefs and desired characteristics that we always keep in the forefront so that we remember why we're doing the work that we're doing and how that links to our overall wildly important goals for the district, which have to do with our REACH score and our culture and engagement survey. Make sure I'm on the right slide here. Thank you, though. So the development process. So back in 2013, 13-14, as you know, our state funding for education changed to the LCFF, the Local Control Funding Formula process, which took us from categorical funds to the current funding system that we have, and laid out very specific things that we needed to do. One was the LCAP, which is our reporting system. It's our accountability system for how are we using these fundings and how is it helping all students grow and learn. The other piece of the LCAP has to do with something called supplemental funds. We've talked about this before, and that's the little bump we get for what the state calls unduplicated students. So it's 20% above our LCFF that must be for increased and improved services for 3 student groups: our English learners, our foster youth, and our socioeconomically disadvantaged. And we have to really focus on what are we doing above and beyond for those student groups. There's also a particular template that we have to use to write the LCAP. It is a 3-year rolling document. So last year was the first year for this year. Next year is our middle year, and we'll have 1 more year before we go through that whole process again. And it is a roadmap for continuous. It's a cyclical process. The LCAP requires us to measure 8 priorities, and they're outlined up here by the state. Under each of those 8 priorities are specific data points that we have to collect. So our SBAC, our statewide testing data, we have to look at graduation rates and suspension rates. So there's certain things that we have to measure to meet these 8 priorities. Just to remind you, I always call the LCAP, the strategic plan, it's like a chapter book, and there's certain sections of it. The first section is a 3-year plan summary. I call it the Cliff Notes. So if you don't want to read the 155-page document, you can read the Cliff Notes, which tells the story of BUSD, our vision and mission, highlights greatest strengths, areas of needs, and performance gaps. So that's all like in that first chapter. The second chapter is the annual update. This is where you kind of live in both worlds. So the annual update tells this is what you said you were going to do and spend. This is what you actually did and spent. And then there's the stakeholder engagement section, which says, how did you reach out to your community and your staff to get input? The fourth chapter is based on all of that and your review of data. What goals, outcomes, actions, and services do you plan for the upcoming school year? And so that's what I'm going to present to you tonight. And then the 5th section is services for unduplicated students. So we have to take out of what we've put in those goal areas, kind of lift them out and really spell them out for how they're going to increase and improve services for those 3 student groups. I think I just went through, whoops, went double here. So I kind of just reviewed that process. This is a duplicate slide. So I want to, sure. Yes.
So, well, we're broke. And anything that we add in this process is a trade-off we have to stop, unless the state decides to give us more.
Correct.
So tell me how you're doing. Tell me a little bit how you're factoring that in. We have nothing more to fund new programs or services. So are you talking about replacing existing products and programs and services, or enhancing them, or how are you going to pay for it?
Good question. So all of the above. So some things are replaced. We looked and we said, this isn't working. We're going to, stop doing that and start doing this. We use the supplemental money for some things that we are currently doing, and we say, how can we refocus the work? So for instance, part of some people's salaries will be used in the supplemental money, because we're going to do some strategic work and outreach to families that fall into those 3 groups. So it's not necessarily new, but it's shifting some of the work that we're currently doing. We are using some one-time money for much of the materials, the professional development piece that comes from those. We have some lottery money that's for some book adoptions. So there's some different pockets that help fund that. Does that answer that question?
Helpful at some point in this process, you could show us an analysis of the budgetary impact.
Absolutely.
Of what your proposals are, and what we're cutting, and what we're eliminating, or if there's net increase in our operating expenses, how you're planning to pay for that. Sure.
So as part of strategic stakeholder engagement, we did a survey out to parents. Last year we did the gallery walk, we had all of that because we were creating a new document. This year it was getting feedback on how are we doing? What do you think about what's in here? And so I worked with our LCAP parent advisory group. We created a survey that we sent out to all families. We did only get 253 responses, and we sent that out several times. And then we got input from all teachers at all staff meetings. So either the principal or myself or Ms. Rice went around, and we gave opportunities for people to give feedback on what was included in the LCAP. And here are just some of the common responses, mostly from the parents, about how they access information and topics of interest, because those were questions. So we grouped the questions on the survey. We sort of clustered the types of items that are in the LCAP and formed a more global question around that. So this will shape some of the work that we include in this year's LCAP, next year's LCAP. And then quickly, here are some of the data points. Just so you know, blue on these charts is outstanding and red is good. Okay, so when we look at, I know, I couldn't change the colors of I tried and I couldn't figure out how to change the colors on the graph.
What was the other two colors representing?
The other two colors are red, good, outstanding, good, satisfactory, and needs improvement. And so the blue, no, the green is the needs improvement or unsatisfactory. So we asked about curriculum. Are they interesting to your children? So about 70%. You're going to find we have about a 70% satisfaction rate across all of the questions. So access to technology, people are pleased with that. Course offerings, so it's the breadth of course offerings. And extracurricular, so this is something that we're looking at, is how do we provide some of those extracurricular experiences for students? Because that was our lowest score on here.
Do you see significant differences in those results by site?
I have not broken it down by site yet, but that's that's my next step. Okay. Going the wrong direction here. So out of the comments that parents gave, why did they rate things the way they did? We have good schools, we have great teachers, we offer a broad range of classes, we have great parent involvement and great community. So those were the overarching themes. And things for us to consider are more electives and enrichment. So things that were listed were arts, PE, recess, world language. Needing more programs for high achieving students, so honors classes, AP classes, and differentiation. And then looking at student behavior and discipline. And I can talk as we go through the actions and services how we are hoping to address those. So we look at our data, we do outreach, and then we take that information and we build actions and actions and services. So here's highlights from our proposed LCAP for next year. So goal 1 has 4 components. The first one has to do with instructional practices and assessment. You can see that off to the left. And the types of things that are in here are continuing to supply classrooms with books, classroom libraries for workshop from 2nd grade all the way up through 8th grade, and DRA, which is our primary grade, so that kids have access to new books, books that are interesting to them, Common Core materials, different programs that teachers have specified that really work to supplement our core curriculum are listed there. We're looking at doing adoptions for different groups, so it won't be K-12 or TK to 12 in all areas, but chunks. So history, social science at the middle school met today with Stephanie Rice and looked at different materials because those are out for adoption and people were pretty excited about that. Science, the state has not yet released the curriculum for science yet, so we're hoping to do that this winter, even though we're in the middle of giving the science test, so it's a little late in coming. The other pieces in here, we have we've tagged part of our college and career counselor and CTE courses and assessment and data work that we do, and some online programs. So that's all part of goal 1.1. Oh. Okay, part 1.2 is about professional development that has to do with instruction. And so things that will remain in here are continuing to be an affiliate school for Mary Farmer, Robert Semple, and the middle school. Professional developments, kind of other money to help support. So we're going to have a speaker do culturally responsive teaching next year when we come back. District-wide PD days, looking at providing PD for teachers who will be teaching AP classes. So lots of different pieces of professional development, continuing our work and professional development with PBIS and restorative justice. This year in the LCAP, and people really loved it, was teacher collaboration days, where every team of teachers or group of teachers had time to work together to work on curriculum, to learn new things. We did summer boot camp for students at our Title I elementary schools and at middle. Oh no, I'm sorry, wrong goal. Summer boot camp and PBIS or PBL for new teachers. So when we have new teachers coming into the district, we do a couple of days in the summer with what are the key instructional methodologies that we use here in Benicia to get them off on the right foot. And looking at our evaluation system. And this year, Dr. Gill put on a great leadership academy to help develop new leaders in our district. And so we want to continue those practices. The third part of Goal 1 has to do with specific programs and services for those identified student groups, the unduplicated groups. And remember, those are the English learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged, and foster youth. So some things that will be specific to them, and a lot of this is done through some targeted outreach. So I will be meeting with any staff that is listed as part of this work to have a plan to do targeted progress monitoring and outreach to those families. So supporting visual and performing arts at Liberty High School, Robert Semple and Mary Farmer and the band. Odyssey of the Mind, we're going to do some real targeted outreach to get students in those student groups to participate. So staffing, so our intervention services, our coaches, and some administrative services, and we're going to have a real plan around how we use those services to help support teachers, to help support families, and monitor those students' growth and provide extra services as needed. For English learners, we provide translation services and intervention and materials and assessment as needed. We do extended school year for those students in those student groups. So we did a Jumpstart program this past year. We're going to continue it this year, where kids come in, they're invited by invite only to get extra math support as they transition from 5th to 6th or 8th to 9th, and then in reading from 1st to 2nd grade. And then this year we built into our budget some support for Robert Semple or for students in the unduplicated student groups to support them going to outdoor education in case that is a hardship. The last part of Goal 1 has to do with academic support and social emotional support to focus on those students as well. So we use the REACH survey. We have special friends and sources of strength, our psychologists and counselors, and contracts and stipends and incentives for continuing our PBIS program. So remember back to where the parents had said behavior, all of those programs as we get deeper and we learn more will help with all of those as well. Mm-hmm.
So in terms of education and working with students around bullying issues and emotional safety, I know PBS is something that we use, but I'm curious to hear if you had much feedback about that issue, or if we, how we're approaching that as a district at this point.
Approaching the PBIS or
no bullying.
Bullying. Yeah. They have programs such as Sources of Strength and Web that they use. We're also looking at a social emotional curriculum that will teach some of that. Second Step, and those programs also teach those types of things. And then at the site level, we talk about how do we handle those processes as well.
Okay. And the coursework, what age level would that be for? Like the course that you guys are looking into?
Oh, the curriculum?
curriculum.
I'm working with Dr. Patton on that. We're looking, and we actually have, at the elementary, we got a free trial last year. Oh, the name is escaping me off the top of my head right now, but to help teach that as well for the primary grades, and they come with little books and stories.
Okay.
We have, our second goal has to do with 21st century learning environments, and the first part of that goal is specific around technology and infrastructure. So we will keep some money in there for professional development for technology integration. We have our IT techs and tech mentor stipends. We will do parent outreach and training. We will try to put on some sort of parent workshop around technology. Hardware, so we have some monies for some new hardware, some hardware for refreshing, and then checking out. We have some machines available if socioeconomically disadvantaged families need a machine at home, that they can check that out, or students with disabilities. Excuse me, and then money to continue with the databases that we use in the district. And then facilities, this part of the goal is all bond money, and Mr. Rayhill talked about this earlier, the fire alarms and the school-wide modernization. So we include that because the strategic plan, since the board adopted the LCAP as the strategic plan last year, we wanted to tell the story of the district. So while everything isn't coming from LCFF funding, it's important to kind of include all of that. The last goal has to do with parent and community partnerships. This goal has 3 parts. So we want to be really mindful about our communication, really trying to outreach to parents to get more parents to participate in Odyssey of the Mind, put on some parent workshops. Those happen sometimes district-wide, and sometimes we support the sites in doing them, and working on parent outreach. And that is for, the parent outreach is specifically for our Title I elementary schools, so that they can have some funds to do some liaison type of work before or during the school year. We work with our parent groups, BEF, PTAs, and PTGs, to do Night of Stars. Dr. Young does a monthly collaborative meeting with the PTA presidents and BEF to make sure that we're all working on going in the same direction and have that shared vision and swap ideas. And as always, BEF, we're working with them to enhance fundraising options. And then the last is community partnerships, and we're so grateful that Rotary partners with Liberty High School, and then we also included our Liberty High School mentors because they are great partners as well.
So we also have middle school and high school mentors.
Community mentors?
Yes.
I can absolutely add those. Okay.
You're actively involved in the name of it, for safety.
Benicia Youth Action Coalition. They provide funds for education on alcohol, tobacco, and other drug programs.
So I can add those in. So some of these don't even have any financial obligation, but again, it's just how do we partner? The next 3 slides, I'm not going to, whoop, oh boy. Okay, here we go. The next 3 slides, all of the information in these next 3 slides has already been embedded in those first 3 goals, but they're described a little bit more about how we're going to use those actions and services to support those 3 student groups. So these are just those things, and in the entire LCAP, they're written out even more. So I don't know if you want me to go through them, but you can see we've been, what's that? Let me pick a couple of them. I talked about the extended school year and offering summer programming to students who struggle at our Title I schools. Instructional coaching, and that is being funded out of our supplemental monies, and so those are our elementary and our middle school coach and our technology coach. And that is one of the things that we're going to do, is give some strategies for how do we work with students that are socioeconomically disadvantaged. How are we working with students who are English learners? And so when they're coaching in a classroom, they will know who those students are in the classroom and tailor some of their coaching specific to those students to support them. So those are the types of things that we'll be doing.
Dr. Young, it would probably be a good practice, an ongoing practice, when the administration presents to the board about programs and services, that any area that requires new funding is highlighted and then indicated where the source is coming from. And that given where we are in this environment. So like if in that deck, my guess is as you've gone through it, most of it's stuff it's probably already in the budget. And so really highlighting your asterisk, this is new requires new funding, and then provide the source.
And when I come back on the 31st of May, and I'll do a public hearing on this, I can absolutely have that done. Yep. Next steps, we submit our draft to Solano County Office of Education. They give feedback on it. They need to approve it. It will come to you as a public hearing on May 31st. I'll bring it back to you on June 14th for board approval. Solano County Office of Ed does its final approval sometime in July, and then they send it off to the state of California for approval, and that happens over the summer. Any other comments or questions or ideas? Okay, thank you.
Leslie, I just want to ask one more question. I'm sorry, Dr. Beaton. In regards to what Mr. Morgan is saying, in this new template, is the budget a separate packet, or is it married to the goals as you're going through? Is it still that way, or is it now separate?
It's not attached right to the goals, so it'll have the goals page with all the goals listed, and then the next page will be the budget. But we've partnered really well with the business office, and so for every action, it'll say action 1.1A. When you look at the budget page, it's listed 1.1A, so you can
you're
track
going to
it.
be able to still link it.
No, just for the ease of our comprehension.
Right.
If there could be a slide that said, these things, these bullet points, even I've talked about them already, are requiring new funding, and then next to it, where it's coming from.
Where it's coming from.
And I don't, as I said,
The source is what you want.
source, right? And is it one-time money? Is it ongoing? So that I want to be cautious of that. Even if we have ongoing money, we have one-time money to spend it, but we're taking on an ongoing obligation. We're adding to our run rate, and we can't afford to do that.
And things that we have tagged with one-time funding are not ongoing.
So, and I think that's why I addressed it to Dr. Young and instead of Dr. Peterson. But I think for every presentation, until we work our way out and the state fixes our budget, we need to spend that kind of discipline, knowing when we hear these presentations, we're assessing the budget impact of the proposal.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Are we done with that? Just lost my agenda. What is 13.1? I don't have my agenda. It went away. Okay, is there any public hearing on the LCAP at this time?
No. Public hearing, consideration of action to set the retention of the fire alarm upgrade projects across all the schools of Benicia Unified School District at 10% because of the projects are significantly complex. And that is going to be Mr. Rahill.
That was a non-action, so.
You're still not there.
Okay. So we have this item for your action tonight to conduct a public hearing on increasing the retention amount on our fire alarm projects from the mandatory 5% up to 10% because these fire alarm projects are substantially complex. The timelines are critical. The nature of specialized training and services are critical to these fire alarms. And basically what this does is normally you would withhold 5% from a vendor's contract and pay the contractor that 5% retainage at the end when the project is complete. But in these cases, we're allowed to increase that holdback, that retainage to 10% because of the nature of the project being substantially complex. So we're asking you to conduct a public hearing tonight. We have done this for the other 2 fire alarm projects, and we're asking you to do that for the remainder of the school sites.
So, Tim, just to clarify, or Mr. Rahal, excuse me, Just to clarify, so this is essentially holding back money from the contractor until it's finished to basically essentially keep them on track and.
Yes, to have them come back and complete the project to.
Okay.
I am going to close the board meeting, and I'm opening up for public hearing. Are there any comments on this topic? Absolutely. Just please identify yourself when you come.
I was parked so far away and I end up here. I'm Melissa. I just want to say 10% is totally standard and we should definitely up that rate. Maybe consider liquidated damages if they don't meet the deadlines. But absolutely 10 is totally normal. I would expect that if it was my contract. So I think we should keep their money. Keep our money as long as possible.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, or anybody have any other opinion about that? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to reopen the board meeting. Okay, back to the board members. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we set the retention for the fire alarm upgrade projects across all the schools of Benicia Unified School Districts at 10% because the projects are substantially complex.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, and with that, our board meeting is adjourned. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I want to thank everybody else for participating.